The salvage vessel Morning Star had been drifting through dead space for nearly 6 hours when the scanner picked up something unusual. Captain Tyler Hayes was halfway through his third cup of terrible coffee when the alarm went off. "Got something on the long-range scanner, boss?" called out Brandon Mills from the navigation station. The young pilot leaned closer to his screen, his face scrunched up in confusion. "That's weird. The signal's all over the place." Tyler set down his mug and walked over, his boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. They'd been working this sector for 3 months now, picking through abandoned mining stations and derelict freighters. Nothing exciting ever happened out here near the Thorngate Nebula. That's why the pay was so terrible. "What kind of signal?" Tyler asked. "That's the thing. It's not standard distress. It's more like..." Brandon paused, running the data through the computer again. "It's biological. Like a heartbeat but really, really slow." From the engineering bay below, Ashley Rodriguez's voice crackled through the intercom. "Did you just say biological? Out here? There's nothing alive in this sector. It's been quarantined for decades." "I know what I'm reading," Brandon shot back. "Whatever it is, it's big. Really big." Tyler felt that familiar tingle of curiosity mixed with caution. In his 15 years of salvage work, anything labeled unusual usually meant trouble. But trouble also meant the possibility of a discovery bonus, and they desperately needed one. "All right, take us in slow," Tyler ordered. "Ashley, get up here. Kyle, wake up and man the scanner station." "I'm awake," came a groggy voice from the crew quarters. Kyle Chin stumbled onto the bridge a minute later, still pulling on his jacket. "What's going on?" "That's what we're about to find out." The Morning Star changed course, its engines humming as they pushed deeper into the abandoned sector. The darkness out here felt different somehow. Heavier. Like the space itself was holding its breath. It took 20 minutes to reach the source of the signal. When their floodlights finally illuminated what was floating in the void, every person on that bridge went completely silent. "Holy!" Kyle whispered, unable to finish the sentence. The creature before them was impossibly massive. Tyler had seen space whales before, even a few of those giant crystal jellyfish that floated through the outer rim. But this was something else entirely. Something ancient. Its body stretched out longer than 3 cargo haulers placed end to end. The shape was serpentine, almost dragon-like, with 4 limbs tucked close to its body and what looked like folded wings pressed against its sides. But what should have been beautiful was horrifying. Every inch of the creature's surface was covered in parasites. Millions of them. They looked like barnacles, but they pulsed with a sickly green light that made Tyler's stomach turn. The glow illuminated the creature's face, if you could call it that. Massive ridges, closed eyes, and a mouth full of crystalline teeth that could probably bite their ship in half. "Is it dead?" Ashley asked quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Brandon checked the scanner, his hands shaking slightly as he worked the controls. "No, it's alive. Barely. Look at this." He put the readings on the main screen. 3 separate heartbeats. Each one separated by almost 2 full minutes. The rhythm was so slow it was almost imperceptible. "What is that thing?" Kyle asked, moving closer to the viewport. Tyler was already pulling up the Morning Star's database, searching through every documented species in the Galactic Council's archives. Most of it was boring stuff, trade regulations and approved flight paths. But buried deep in the historical files he found something. "Starworm," he read aloud, his voice filled with disbelief. "An ancient species of spacefaring beings. Capable of surviving in the vacuum without ships. Lived for thousands of years. Went extinct." He paused, double-checking the date. 10,000 years ago. "That can't be right," Ashley said, joining him at the console. "Extinct means dead. All of them. That thing out there is definitely not dead." "Mostly not dead," Kyle corrected, still staring at the creature. "Those parasites are killing it. Look how deep they're embedded." Tyler zoomed in the external cameras. Kyle was right. The parasites weren't just attached to the surface. They had roots that dug deep into the creature's crystalline scales, probably draining its life force. In some places the scales were cracked and damaged, oozing some kind of luminescent fluid. "Those are void leeches," Brandon said suddenly, his face going pale. "I remember reading about them in training. They're a plague. Once something gets infected, it's considered too dangerous to approach." "What's the protocol?" Tyler asked, though he already suspected the answer. Brandon swallowed hard. "Abandon it. Leave immediately. The Galactic Council has standing orders. No exceptions." They all stood there in silence, watching the dying creature drift in the darkness. Its massive body turned slowly in the void, the parasites casting their eerie green light across scarred and damaged scales. How long has it been out here? Ashley asked softly. Based on the parasite coverage and the damage to its scales, Kyle said, running calculations, probably decades. Maybe centuries. Centuries. Tyler tried to imagine it. Floating alone in the dark, slowly dying with no one coming to help. His chest tightened. Captain, Brandon said carefully, we should go. If those parasites spread to our ship. They won't, Tyler interrupted. He kept staring at the creature. At the starworm. The last one in the entire galaxy, apparently. Give me a full scan. I want to know everything about those parasites. How they attach, how they feed, if they have any weaknesses. Boss, the council. I don't care what the council says. Tyler turned to face his crew. That thing is still alive. It's suffering. And we're not just going to leave it here to die. Ashley grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. The first 24 hours were pure chaos. Tyler had Ashley rig up their mining lasers to the lowest possible setting while Kyle calculated the safest way to burn off the parasites without damaging the starworm's already fragile scales. Brandon kept monitoring the creature's vital signs, which remained terrifyingly slow but steady. All right, starting with Section A1, Ashley announced, positioning the ship carefully. Here goes nothing. The mining laser, normally used to cut through solid rock, fired in short controlled bursts. The void leeches shrieked. Not with sound, but with some kind of electromagnetic pulse that made every screen on the bridge flicker. Then they died, shriveling up and falling away into space like dried leaves. Beneath them, damaged crystalline scales reflected the ship's lights. They were dull and cracked, nothing like what Tyler imagined they should look like. It's working, Kyle said, surprised. Keep going. They worked in shifts. Ashley would fire the lasers for 2 hours while Brandon piloted and Kyle monitored. Then they'd rotate. Tyler insisted everyone get at least 4 hours of sleep, but nobody actually slept much. They'd grab a quick nap, wake up and head right back to work. By the second day they'd cleared maybe 5% of the creature's body. At this rate it would take months. We need a better method, Tyler said, frustration creeping into his voice. They were all gathered in the small galley, eating reheated rations that tasted like cardboard. The lasers are too slow, Ashley agreed, pushing her food around her plate. And we can't get close enough to use the mechanical arms. The leech density is too thick. Kyle suddenly sat up straight. What if we go out there? Manually? Everyone stared at him. You want to suit up and walk on that thing? Brandon asked. Are you crazy? Maybe a little, Kyle admitted. But think about it. We could use the heavy scrapers, the ones we use for hull repairs. Get in close and pry them off directly. It'd be faster than the lasers. Tyler considered it. It was dangerous. If those parasites could spread to humans, they'd all be contaminated. But if they didn't speed up, the starworm would die before they made any real progress. I'll do it, Tyler said. Ashley prepped 2 suits. You're coming with me. Why me? Because you're the only other person crazy enough to try this. 6 hours later, Tyler stood on the surface of a living creature for the first time in his life. His magnetic boots kept him anchored to the scales, which were warm despite the freezing vacuum around them. Ashley stood a few meters away, both of them connected to the Morning Star by safety tethers. This is the weirdest thing I've ever done, Ashley said through the helmet comm. Tyler had to agree. The parasites were even more disgusting up close. They pulsed with that green light, and he could see the root system spreading beneath the creature's scales like infected veins. He raised the heavy scraper and wedged it under a cluster of leeches. They resisted, clinging tight. He pushed harder. With a wet popping sound that made him nauseous, they came free. The damaged scale beneath oozed that glowing fluid. Got them, Tyler reported. Moving to the next section. They worked for 3 hours straight before exhaustion forced them back inside. Kyle suited up next, then Brandon. They rotated in pairs, always 2 people outside while 2 rested. Days blurred together. Tyler lost track of how many parasites he'd removed. Thousands. Tens of thousands. His shoulders ached constantly. His hands cramped even inside the suit gloves. But every time he wanted to quit, he'd look at the sections they'd cleared and see the faint glimmer of color starting to return to those ancient scales. On the 4th day everything changed. Tyler was prying off a particularly stubborn cluster when Brandon's voice crackled through the comm, urgent and panicked. Captain, we've got incoming. 3 ships. They're big. How big? Galactic Council big. Tyler's stomach dropped. He and Kyle rushed back to the airlock, barely waiting for the pressure to equalize before pulling off their helmets and running to the bridge. 3 Council warships sat in the distance, their weapons clearly visible even from here. The communication screen was already active, showing a tall alien with 4 arms and skin like polished stone. Tyler recognized the species. Korean. Military caste, which meant this wasn't a friendly visit. Human vessel Morning Star, the alien said, his voice deep and commanding. I am Commander Velt of the Galactic Council Enforcement Division. You are in violation of quarantine protocols. Cease all operations immediately and evacuate this sector. Tyler stepped in front of the camera, still wearing his work suit covered in dried leech residue. We're in the middle of a rescue operation, Commander. There is no rescue. The creature is infected with void leeches. Standard protocol requires immediate abandonment. This is not negotiable. That creature is still alive, Tyler shot back. We're not leaving it. Commander Velt's expression hardened. You risk contamination. These parasites could spread to your ship, to your colony worlds, to every human settlement in the galaxy. We cannot allow it. We're being careful. We've already cleared 40%. 40% means 60% remains, Velt interrupted. Do you understand what happens if even one of those parasites reaches a populated system? Millions die. Entire planets are lost. Your compassion is admirable but foolish. Ashley moved to stand beside Tyler. So we just leave it here to suffer? Its suffering ends either way, Velt said coldly. The Starworm's own people abandoned their infected. Every species in the Council has agreed to this protocol for 10,000 years. Even the Starworms themselves followed it. Well, humans don't, Tyler said firmly. We don't abandon people to die when we can help. I don't care if it's protocol. Commander Velt's 4 arms crossed over his chest. Then you leave me no choice. You have 10 standard minutes to evacuate or we will open fire. The creature will be destroyed, and your vessel will be impounded for quarantine violations. The screen went dark. The bridge fell into stunned silence. Kyle was the first to speak. They're not bluffing. Those are military vessels. They could vaporize us in seconds. Tyler looked at his crew. Tired, scared, but none of them looking away. Options. We run, Brandon suggested quietly. Jump to hyperspace before they can stop us. And leave it behind? Ashley shook her head. After everything we've done? Tyler turned back to the viewport, looking at the Starworm floating in the darkness. They'd worked so hard. Come so far. And now. Then something impossible happened. The creature's massive eye opened. And Tyler heard a voice in his head. Tyler stumbled backward, his hand flying to his temple. The voice wasn't loud, but it was everywhere. Inside his head, behind his eyes, resonating through his chest like a distant drum. Captain? Ashley grabbed his arm. Tyler, what's wrong? He couldn't answer. The presence in his mind was overwhelming, ancient and vast. It felt like standing at the edge of an ocean and suddenly realizing how deep the water went. Boss, talk to us, Brandon said, worry clear in his voice. Tyler held up a hand, asking for silence. He forced himself to focus, to push past the initial shock. And then he understood. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't trying to hurt him. The Starworm was speaking to him. It's talking to me, Tyler managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. Kyle's eyes went wide. What? How? Tyler walked closer to the viewport, drawn by something he couldn't explain. That massive golden eye was fixed on him, watching him through the glass. Up close, he could see the pupil was shaped like a vertical star, and the iris swirled with colors that shouldn't exist. The voice came again, clearer this time. Not words exactly, but feelings and images that his brain translated into language. What? Such a simple question, but it carried the weight of centuries. Tyler pressed his hand against the viewport. Why what? He asked aloud, feeling ridiculous talking to empty air. Why do you help me? Your council orders you to leave. My own kind abandoned me to this fate. It is the way things are done. It has always been the way. So why do you stay? Tyler felt the creature's confusion, its genuine inability to understand what they were doing. And beneath that, something else. Pain. Not physical, though there was plenty of that. But a deeper pain. The kind that came from being left behind by everyone you'd ever known. Because you're still alive, Tyler said softly. Because you're suffering and we can help. That's reason enough. The eye blinked slowly, and Tyler felt a wave of emotion that nearly knocked him over. Surprise. Wonder. And something that felt almost like grief. I am Korvathian, the voice said. Last of the Starworms. For 347 of your years, I have drifted in this darkness, waiting for the end. Asterisk. 347 years. Tyler's throat tightened. He'd been alone out here for longer than any human had been traveling in space. Longer than Tyler's great-great-grandparents had been alive. How? Ashley asked. She'd moved to stand beside him, staring at the massive eye. How did this happen to you? Korvathian seemed to consider whether to answer. Then Tyler's mind filled with images. He saw starworms flying through space, dozens of them, their scales shimmering with impossible colors. They were beautiful and terrifying and free. He saw them venture into a region of space where the stars burned dark, seeking knowledge, seeking mysteries. And he saw the void leeches. Waiting. Hungry. One by one the starworms became infected. And one by one their own people left them behind. It was the law, Korvathian explained. The ancient law. To prevent the plague from spreading, the infected had to be abandoned. No exceptions. Not even for family. Not even for friends. Korvathian had been the last. He watched his mate leave him, watched his children fly away, following the law that said his life was now worth less than the safety of others. And he'd accepted it because that was the way things had always been. That's horrible, Kyle said quietly. He'd been watching Tyler's face, seeing the emotions play across it. They just left you here to die alone? It was necessary, Korvathian said, though Tyler felt the lie in those words. The creature had spent 3 centuries telling itself that. Trying to believe it. The many must be protected from the one. No, Tyler said firmly. Nobody deserves that. I don't care what the law says. Asterisk, but you risk yourselves. Risk your entire species. For what? I'm nothing to you. A stranger. A creature of a dead race. Asterisk. Tyler looked at his crew. Ashley had tears running down her face. Brandon was gripping the edge of his console so hard his knuckles were white. Kyle had moved closer, as if wanting to comfort a creature 1,000 times his size. You're not nothing, Tyler said. You're alive. You're in pain. And we're not the kind of people who can see that and just walk away. I don't know how to explain it better than that. There was a long silence. Tyler felt Korvathian processing this, trying to understand it through a worldview shaped by 10,000 years of different thinking. Your species is young, the starworm finally said. Asterisk, you have been traveling the stars for barely 2 centuries. You have no great empires, no ancient knowledge. The other species mock you for your weakness, your soft hearts, your foolish emotions. Asterisk. Yeah, we've noticed, Ashley muttered. But perhaps, Korvathian continued, and Tyler felt something like warmth in the thought. Asterisk, perhaps there is strength in what they call weakness. Perhaps mercy is not foolishness. You have shown me something I thought lost from this galaxy. Asterisk. What's that? Tyler asked. Oh. Brandon's voice suddenly cut through the moment. Captain, we've got a problem. Commander Velt is hailing us again. And their weapons are powered up. Tyler tore his eyes away from the viewport. The timer on the screen showed they had less than 3 minutes before the Council ships opened fire. Korvathian, Tyler said urgently, we need more time. We're not done clearing the parasites. But those ships. I know what they will do, the starworm said. Asterisk, they will destroy me. It is protocol. Perhaps it is for the best. Asterisk. No, Tyler said. We're not giving up. There has to be a way. Kyle suddenly grabbed his arm. Boss, I've been analyzing the parasites while you were talking. I found something. The leeches aren't just feeding on Korvathian. They're trying to reproduce using his energy. If they succeed, if they spawn, they'll spread through this entire sector within weeks. Tyler's blood ran cold. Can we stop them? Maybe. There's a way to kill them all at once. A plasma pulse calibrated to Korvathian's specific energy signature. But, Kyle hesitated. It's dangerous. Really dangerous. One wrong calculation and we could kill him instead. The comm screen flickered to life. Commander Velt's face appeared, stern and unyielding. Human vessel. Your time is up. Move away from the creature immediately or we will fire. Tyler looked at the starworm's eye, still watching him. He felt Korvathian's presence in his mind, ancient and tired and filled with something new. Something the creature hadn't felt in 300 years. Trust. Do it, Tyler said. Kyle set up the pulse. We're ending this. You have 60 seconds to comply, Commander Velt said, his 4 arms spreading wide in what Tyler recognized as a Corian threat display. After that, we open fire. The screen went dark. Tyler spun to face Kyle. How long do you need? Kyle was already at his station, fingers flying across the console. 20 minutes. Maybe 25. I have to map Korvathian's entire energy signature, then calibrate the pulse to match it exactly. If I'm off by even 0.03%, we kill him. We don't have 25 minutes, Brandon said, watching the tactical display. We have less than one. Tyler's mind raced. They needed time. Time they didn't have. He looked at Ashley, who was already pulling up the navigation controls without being asked. Can you keep us moving? Tyler asked her. Buy Kyle the time he needs? Ashley's jaw set in determination. Strap in, everyone. This is gonna get rough. The first warning shot streaked past their bow, close enough that the proximity alarm screamed. Ashley's hands moved across the controls, and the Morning Star lurched sideways. Tyler grabbed the nearest handhold to keep from falling. They're not messing around, Brandon called out, watching the tactical screen. All three ships are moving into firing positions. Kyle? Tyler asked, bracing himself as Ashley threw them into another evasive maneuver. I've got the first layer of the energy signature mapped, Kyle said, not looking up from his work. But there's 3 distinct energy patterns. The parasites, Korvathian's life force, and something else I can't identify. If I target the wrong one. You won't, Tyler interrupted. Focus. We trust you. Another shot, this one closer. The ship shuddered as the energy blast passed within meters of their hull. Ashley sent them spinning, using the Starworm's massive body as cover. It was a desperate move, putting Korvathian between them and the Council ships. Do not hide behind me, Korvathian's voice echoed in Tyler's mind. I will not let you die for my sake. We're not dying, Tyler said aloud. And neither are you. The Starworm's presence in his mind felt different now. Stronger. More focused. Tyler realized with a start that as they'd cleared away the parasites, Korvathian had been recovering. Slowly but noticeably. The creature that had been barely alive days ago was waking up. Second energy layer mapped, Kyle announced. But this third one, it's not making sense. It's ancient. Older than the other readings. I think it might be Korvathian's original life force from before the parasites. Commander Velt's voice boomed through the comm system. This is your final warning. Move aside or be destroyed along with the infected creature. Tyler ignored him. How much longer, Kyle? 15 minutes. Maybe 12 if I cut corners. Don't cut corners, Tyler ordered. Do it right. The Council ships changed tactics. Instead of warning shots, they began firing in patterns, trying to force the Morning Star into open space where they'd have a clear shot. Ashley was good, but she was one pilot against 3 military vessels. I can't keep this up forever, she said through gritted teeth, pulling them through another tight maneuver. Shields are down to 60%. Brandon pulled up the weapon systems. We could return fire. Maybe slow them down. Our mining lasers against military-grade weapons? Tyler shook his head. We'd last about 10 seconds. Then let me end this, Korvathian said. Tyler felt the Starworm gathering what little strength it had left. I can still move. I will draw them away from you. No, Tyler said firmly. You can barely stay conscious. Moving would probably kill you faster than the parasites. Better a quick death than... No, Tyler repeated. We're finishing this. All of us. Together. A blast hit their rear shield and the entire ship shook. Sparks flew from one of Brandon's consoles. Ashley cursed and dove the ship downward, using the Starworm's folded wing as cover. Shields at 40%, Brandon reported, coughing through the smoke. Kyle? Tyler asked, trying to keep the desperation out of his voice. I've got it. I think I've got it. Kyle's hands were shaking as he entered the final calculations. The third energy signature, it's not separate. It's woven through everything. It's what makes Korvathian alive, not just the biology but the consciousness. The soul, maybe. Can you target around it? Ashley asked, throwing them into another spin. I have to. If I hit that, he dies. If I miss the parasites completely, they spawn and we're all dead anyway. And if I'm off by even a fraction. Kyle didn't finish the sentence. Another hit, stronger this time. The lights flickered. Tyler heard something crack in the walls. Shields at 20%, Brandon said quietly. One more direct hit and we're done. Tyler moved to stand behind Kyle, putting a hand on his shoulder. You can do this. I know you can. Kyle looked up at him, fear clear in his eyes. What if I'm wrong? Then we tried, Tyler said simply. That's more than anyone else was willing to do. You strange, soft creatures. Korvathian's voice was almost amused despite the situation. So determined. So foolishly brave. Is the pulse ready? Tyler asked. Kyle took a deep breath. Yes. But Captain, I need to tell you something. This is going to hurt him. The plasma pulse, even calibrated correctly, it's going to feel like being burned alive. For a few seconds, it's going to be the worst pain he's ever experienced. Tyler looked at the viewport, at the massive eye still watching them. Korvathian, did you hear that? I heard. We can find another way. We can. Fire the pulse, the starworm interrupted. 300 years I have suffered. I can endure a few seconds more if it means freedom. The council ships were closing in, all three converging on their position. Commander Velt's face appeared on the screen one last time. This is over. Stand down. Tyler met Ashley's eyes. She nodded. Brandon crossed his arms, ready. Kyle's finger hovered over the firing control. For the record, Tyler said to Commander Velt, you should have helped us instead of threatening us. He turned to Kyle. Fire. The Morning Star unleashed everything it had. Every bit of power, every ounce of energy, channeled into a single pulse of calibrated plasma that washed over Korvathian's massive form. For 3 heartbeats, nothing happened. Then Korvathian screamed. The scream didn't come through sound. It came through that same mental connection, raw and primal, bypassing Tyler's ears and slamming directly into his consciousness. He dropped to his knees, hands pressed against his temples. Around him, his entire crew did the same. Even the council ships must have felt it, because their weapons powered down momentarily. Pain. Absolute, overwhelming pain. Tyler felt every bit of it through their connection. It was like Korvathian's entire existence was being torn apart and reassembled at the same time. Then, as suddenly as it started, the screaming stopped. Tyler forced his eyes open, looking up at the viewport. The plasma pulse had faded, leaving behind an eerie silence. For a horrible moment he thought they'd killed him. That Kyle's calculations had been wrong, and they just ended the last starworm in the galaxy. No, Tyler whispered. Please no. Then Brandon gasped. Captain, look. The parasites were dying. All of them. Simultaneously. Millions of void leeches that had clung to Korvathian for 3 centuries began to shrivel and fall away, drifting into space like ash. The sickly green light that had pulsed across the creature's body flickered once, twice, and went dark. And beneath them, something incredible was happening. Korvathian's scales were changing. The dull, damaged crystal that had looked almost gray was beginning to glow. Colors bloomed across the starworm's hide, colors that Tyler didn't have names for. Deep purples that shifted to blue. Golds that melted into silver. Reds that sparkled like captured starlight. It's working, Kyle breathed, staring at his scanner in disbelief. The parasites are dead. All of them. And his life signs, they're stabilizing. They're getting stronger. Ashley pulled herself up to the controls, wiping tears from her eyes. His heartbeat. Look at his heartbeat. On the medical scanner, 3 distinct pulses appeared. No longer separated by minutes, but beating in perfect rhythm. Strong. Steady. Alive. Korvathian's massive eye opened fully for the first time, and it blazed with golden light. Tyler felt the creature's presence in his mind again, but different now. Not tired or resigned. Not filled with centuries of pain and loneliness. Awake. Truly awake. The starworm's body began to move. Slowly at first, like someone stretching after a long sleep. The 4 limbs that had been tucked close unfurled, revealing claws made of the same crystalline material as the scales. Each claw was easily the size of the morning star. Then the wings spread. Tyler had thought they were impressive when folded. He'd been wrong. Korvathian's wings stretched out on either side, spanning what must have been kilometers. They weren't made of flesh or bone. They looked like solidified starlight itself, translucent and shimmering, catching the light from distant suns and reflecting it in patterns that made Tyler's eyes water. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Ashley whispered. The starworm's body arched, muscles that hadn't moved in centuries flexing with returned strength. And then Korvathian roared. This time Tyler didn't just feel it in his mind. He felt it everywhere. The sound traveled through subspace itself, a frequency that made the morning star vibrate and sent ripples through the fabric of space. On the tactical display, Tyler saw the council ships retreat, their sensors probably screaming warnings. Commander Velt's face appeared on the screen, and for the first time, the stern Quarian looked uncertain. What have you done? Velt asked quietly. Tyler stood up, his legs still shaky. We saved a life. That's all. Korvathian moved, then really moved. The great dragon's body flowed through space with impossible grace, circling the morning star once, then twice. Each movement sent waves of color rippling across those magnificent scales. Tyler felt joy radiating from the creature's mind. Pure, unbridled joy at simply being able to move again. 347 years, Corvathian's voice filled Tyler's head, but it was stronger now, clearer. I forgot what it felt like to fly. To truly live. You gave this back to me, Tyler Hayes. You and your crew of impossibly stubborn humans. Tyler laughed, the sound half sob. We're good at stubborn. The council will not understand this. They will fear what you have done. Fear that I might spread the infection you just cured. Let them fear, Brandon said, moving to stand beside Tyler. We know the truth. Corvathian circled once more, that massive golden eye fixing on each crew member in turn. Ashley, Brandon, Kyle, and finally Tyler. Your species is young, the starworm said. Barely more than children by the standards of the ancient races. You have no great weapons. No vast territories. The other species see you as weak. Insignificant. Yeah, Tyler said. We get that a lot. They are fools, Corvathian said, and Tyler felt a fierce pride in those words. You possess something the galaxy has lost. Something my own people forgot when we abandoned our infected to die alone. Compassion. Mercy. The refusal to accept cruelty simply because it is law. The starworm's body began to glow brighter, the colors intensifying. Something was building, some kind of energy that made the air inside the ship tingle. I am the last of the starworms, Corvathian continued. But I am enough, and I will remember what you did here. What your kind is capable of. One of Corvathian's scales detached from his chest. It floated through space, moving with purpose until it came to rest gently against the morning star's hull. Kyle suited up quickly and retrieved it, bringing it back inside. The scale was as long as Tyler's arm, warm to the touch, and it pulsed with inner light. That scale contains knowledge, Corvathian explained. Star maps to places your people have never seen. Understanding of cosmic forces you are only beginning to discover. And my promise? Promise? Tyler asked. Should humanity ever need me, I will come. Should your people face darkness too great to overcome alone, call for Corvathian and I will answer. This bond between us is eternal. The starworms spread those magnificent wings wide. Energy gathered around them, and Tyler realized Corvathian was preparing to jump to hyperspace under his own power. Something that should have been impossible. Go home, Tyler Hayes. Tell your people what happened here. Tell them that mercy is not weakness. Tell them that kindness is the strongest force in the universe. Will we see you again? Ashley asked. The universe is vast but not infinite. Our paths will cross again. With one final beat of those crystallized wings, Corvathian vanished. One moment the starworm filled their viewport, and the next, nothing but empty space and distant stars remained. The bridge fell silent. Tyler looked at his exhausted crew, at the scale Kyle held carefully in his hands, and at the 3 council ships still hanging in the distance. Commander Velt's face appeared on the screen one last time. He looked at Tyler for a long moment, then simply nodded. The council ships turned and jumped to hyperspace without another word. So, Brandon said eventually, what do we do now? Tyler smiled, settling into the captain's chair. We go home. And we tell everyone that today humanity made a friend.